It ain't no team in this league that we cannot beat.
You get that cornerback who want to play in between, you get them going, you get in this blind spot, you get behind them and come out of it.
This season, I let the team set him up for that. Everybody did.
You know you always lying.
Commanders family, we hope you enjoyed your holiday. We are back with a special New Year's episode for you guys. We react to the big win at the crib over the Philadelphia Eagles. Then Logan gets in the film room and breaks down that final drive that ended with a touchdown that won us the game. Then it's time to turn the page and look at Atlanta. That's right, we're taking on the Falcons from Northwest Stadium. This Sunday, we break down that matchup. All that and more, Commanders family, starts right now. But before anything else, let's get right to your can't miss moment presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. Here's Bram Weinstein and Big Fletch on that final call.
Snap to Daniels. Eagles break 4. Into the middle of the end zone.
Touchdown!
Touchdown, Washington! Jameson Crowder! Amazing! Clutch football from the Washington offense! They've done it again!
Done it again, and this is absolutely a dart. Now think about this. Jayden Daniels, the magic man, the kid, the come from behind victory. What a throw, what a catch.
Take every one of us, everybody in this locker room, man. Collective mindset. It did take everybody, all right? Congrats on number 10, man. Hey, man. Heavy hitters now live here. Hey! Whoa. Hey, man, turn that off. Hey. I got a game ball to the first coach in his first season to get 10 wins in franchise history.
Now that's how you start a show. Welcome into Command Center. I'm Brian Cole Jr. here with Santana Moss, Fred Smoot, and Logan Paulson. And fellas, we was there. We was at Northwest Stadium.
Yeah.
What a win for us. How y'all feeling after that win?
I feel great, man. I think I feel good about just that message from the coach. You know what I mean? Talking about, hey, man, we haven't arrived. We didn't do anything. We did a lot of things wrong, but we still found a way to win. So it's encouraging just to know that they have a leader that's letting them know, look, pat yourself on the back a little bit because you went out there and fought hard and long. Right. But guess what, man? We have a lot to clean up. We have a whole lot to clean up for us to be better.
At the end of the day, you got to be happy. Right? We slayed the giant. I don't care what happened. Jalen Hurts didn't finish the game. So what? So be it. We got to play the people that's there. At the end of the day, we went up there. All year, all I've heard is, y'all are good, but y'all haven't beat a team with a winning record. You haven't did this. You haven't did this. But now we have. So now what? At the end of the day, I think what they did and what they did out there Sunday, they went out there and established themselves and showed them we're not a contender. We're somebody that's going to play everybody. It ain't no team in this league that we cannot beat.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be the adversity, right? I mean, like to turn the football over the way they did and still kind of stick with it, the way Jayden Daniels played, the explosiveness that he showed, the passing the football, running the football, just kind of the playmaking ability that Five had in this game was really tremendous. And then the defensive adjustments in the second half were really incredible.
Yeah.
And so all of the stuff that kind of went against them, for them to kind of figure out and find a way to win on that last minute play, it shows a deep character in this team that can't be overvalued.
And Fred, all week you had a call to action, especially on the Get Loud podcast, where you were saying, fans, show up, show out, and be there for our guys. I feel like they showed up and showed out. How'd you feel our fans turned up for the Command?
Well, you know what? It was a little booger green in there. I saw it. It was a little booger green. But we got to keep them out of our stadium. The one thing I always talk to the fans about is, have you ever enjoyed a game at the Link? No, because they don't allow you to come there. All right? So we should do the same to them. All right? Let's protect our house. Let's have a true home field advantage for these guys and get them an edge that Philadelphia has had for decades. Let's do the same.
And Logan, you talked about those maybe problems that didn't go great during the game, especially those turnovers. Are those cause for concern, and how can we clean those up as we look forward to Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you turn the football over, it's always a cause for concern. And I think one of the things is like it's about being mindful. And you know Dan's been being mindful. Sometimes you just can't hold the football. I think B-Rob, I think he'd tell you that he wants some of those back, right? Brown wants some of those back. Jayden some of those decisions back, right? And again, it's getting those things corrected in a win and feeling better about those opportunities. And again, it's so much easier to make those corrections when you beat a division rival in a huge game like that.
And Tanner, man, every home game we are in that tunnel with the last few minutes, and we're always stressed out. We're always going crazy. But how special is that for you? Somebody that's been on that field, being able to be in those moments, celebrate those guys, and just be able to enjoy some football for the team that you love.
I think it's very special just for the sake of, we've been on that field and didn't have the same outcome. We get behind like that, it's a wrap.
It can go downhill quick.
But I've seen this team persevere all year long. Every time they have a little hiccup, you know what I mean? And so it's great to just know that you never know what's going to happen at the end of that game. Every time they get the ball back, I'm almost thinking like, you know what, something's going to happen. And it happens. So it's great just to see those guys have that will, have that fight, and just have the want to go out there and make sure they come away with it.
And fellas, when you get 5 touchdowns against the Philadelphia Eagles, you got some highlights to look at. Let's check them out. Now it's time for Top 5, presented by UA Local 5 Plumbers, protecting the health of the nation's capital since 1890. And fellas, our first highlight came in the first quarter. Jamison Crowder had himself a game. This was his first touchdown.
Look at the start step right there. Now do the MC Hammer. Now do the MC Hammer right there. That's what you want right there.
That's excellent, man.
He gave him a little hezzy, just to slow him down a little bit. And said, all right, you know what? Got him.
And this was just the start of what Jayden Daniels was able to do in the air, because our next one is to, guess who? 1-7,
there go that
Terry
man.
McLaurin.
Dude.
Man, the way he tracks that ball.
He tracks the ball better than any receiver in the league right now.
That's incredible.
It's difficult, bro.
Incredible. And then the awareness to
guys,
get your feet down too.
Yeah, most guys in that situation trying to score at the same time, so they're not going to have the consciousness to try to catch it first. They're going to try to score, and he did both, man. Came down with
His
it.
hands should be sponsored by Huggies. That's all. That's all.
Seems like every week Terry is making a spectacular catch, and somebody I was really impressed with because he was able to bounce back from an ugly drop. Olamide Zaccheaus. Here's his touchdown right here, his first of 2.
And it's really nice, man. Look at how they're having a hard time passing this off, right? Because the offensive line's doing such a great job of kind of getting that pocket for him.
He ate that thing.
It's really fantastic, man. Great job.
It's like a turkey leg in his mouth. Just give it to me right here.
And Ted, you pointed out before, he had a moment like this a few games before. Those are the adjustments we like to see happen. And you know what? It wasn't just 1 touchdown for OZ. It was 2. Now this one, we were all standing up in that suite.
I mean, I know nothing to say other than Jayden Daniels is a beast.
I've been saying Jayden Daniels
They drop the coverage here.
Free play.
He breaks the pocket, man. When he gets outside this pocket, it's incredible, right? Because it messes up how they match their coverage off the field.
On the field.
And then obviously, OZ just does his thing.
Hey, can I ask y'all something? If you got 12 guys on the field, how about you just keep all 12 on there and let the 12 guys break up the pass? How about that? Goodness,
That was
man.
determination right there, man.
Right there, man. And that really set the tone for the rest of the game, because our last one, of course, is our game-winning touchdown in the final seconds of the 4th quarter. Look at JD put that in there.
Thread. Nice thread in the needle
It's
right
no
here.
better feeling to know that as a receiver, you caught that game-winning touchdown. And then just to think about being in his shoes, this guy's been out of the game for weeks. You know what I mean? We watching him in plain clothes, and now to come out here and step up big in the second game back.
All I heard was JD can't throw across the middle coming out of college. They never do it. This proves he can throw it, and he can throw it to win a game right there.
What a huge moment, especially for number 80. We've seen what Crowder has been through. We've seen the work he has put in to get back on the field. A ton of work from this guy. So you know what? Let's hear from Jamison Crowder right after the game during his post-game presser.
Yeah, I mean, it was a play that we had, in this week in the red zone. And it's crazy. Friday we actually ran it, and I caught the same pass. So we got the same look that we had that we thought we was gonna get. And in my mind, I just had to kind of get on the other side of that linebacker there, and just be ready for the ball. And Jayden delivered a great pass, and I was able to make the play.
Oh man, I'm so happy. First of all, I'm so happy for JC. He was banged up a little bit early in the season. He was down on IR for a while, and he always has a great attitude coming in. Guys like that may not get all the attention, but you have a vet in your room like that. He's been great for our young guys. He's been great for me. He pushes me every single day to be the best I can be. And, he's been on the other side of the losing side of this. So for him to have some success, I'm so happy for him. He came back in like he never missed a beat. And I think that's the cool thing about the NFL, when you got guys who just grind, man. And when their moments come up, they just have a knack of making the plays. And that's who JC is. He's a great teammate. He's a great player. And so for him to come out here in front of the home fans to give us 2 touchdowns along with OZ, I'm just so happy to be a part of that group, man, because it's so unselfish and we're excited for whoever gets to make the play.
Great to hear from our wide receivers. Those guys are some dogs and put on big for our Commanders. Now, for more on what went into the game-winning drive, let's send it over to Logan in the film room. It's the best seat in the house, presented by SeatGeek. The most disruptive idea in ticketing, a ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek.
Thanks, Brian. All right, Taylor, let's get into this breakdown. And I love talking situational football, specifically this 2-minute drive. And Tana, on a 2-minute drive, what's the most important part of getting that drive started?
I think one of the things is about, getting it started is making sure that you execute the plan.
100%. And I think that's what, like, in terms of Cliff calling this, he does a great job, right? So what they like to do on the backside of 3-by-1, so they got the 3 receivers enter at the bottom, right? On the backside, they like to play man coverage. And Jayden Daniels knows that, right?
Yeah.
They run this little spot concept here. They run the back out. And this is something they run probably 5 times a game, something they're very comfortable with, but it's an easy completion. And I also love, you pointed this out to me, who's this guy right here?
Zacchaeus.
Yeah, I would have thought that was Terry, but it's OZ. And so trusting the guys, making a play, understanding the coverage, and just getting the thing started with that first completion.
Strong hands, man. I mean, you've seen plenty of times guys of his nature, or his size, bobble that ball, bobble that pass, but he knew he had to go out there and make sure he started off the right way, and he showed strong hands and got the ball.
Yeah, and again, like this is 151 left. You have one timeout, but again, this is totally fine. And I love the urgency that we're getting to here. This is maybe my favorite play in this.
Me and yours both.
This opportunity here to run this, talk about this route here, because again, this is our guy Terry. It's nothing complicated. It looks like it hitches across the board, right? But you see something different here. When
it's legendary. Fade stop. We ran this a lot in college. One of those things, you get that cornerback who want to play in between. You get him going. You get in this blind spot. You get behind him and come out of it. On breaks, perfect ball. Terry's smart enough to catch the ball inbound and roll out of bounds.
And I think that's the thing about it. Like, you don't get this open, right? And then have the ability to roll out of bounds normally, right? And so to dice a guy like that, man, get out of bounds.
Hey, the legend of Terry keeps growing, man. He just does the right thing all the time.
Yeah, and so the other thing I love about this drive is they save their timeout, right? And so again, here, like, you thought, can we run the ball? What do we do? I love that they call this little quarterback draw here with B-Rob leaning up on this linebacker. Yeah. And again, like, this is really special by 5 here in terms of making guys miss, but because you saved your timeout, you can do this. And this is an explosive play on this drive.
Yeah, during the game, you're not sure if they're going to design run, in a 2-minute drill, but when you watch it from this standpoint and you see they showed 6, brought 5, and 5 was just saying, you know what, that's what you're going to do? Yeah. I'm going to make one guy miss and go out there and get the first down myself.
And you see more and more teams doing this with limited success, but when you have a guy like this back there, it really makes this viable. So again, love the fact on those earlier completions, they save the timeout. Terry getting out of bounds saves that timeout. Yes. We take it right here. Great job. Okay, this is really interesting, right? Because we're a little bit short.
Yeah, a little bit short.
3rd and 1 here, right? And we can run it now, right? Yeah. But we don't have any timeouts. So great job getting the first down. But watch this guy's body language. He's like, I know what we got to do. Let's get up to line of scrimmage. Let's spike this ball, right? And now we've got 10 seconds left, Tanner, right? And this is the thing that's maybe most interesting, because I remember talking to Mike Shanahan about this, right? He would say, you can run 2 plays, but the first one cannot get tackled in bounds. So I love this play call with 10 seconds left. We're going to get like a little bit of a dig here, switch release, kind of get the receiver on the linebacker, which you love. And I love the fact how Jayden throws this football into this tight window here.
Hey, this is when you say, what kind of kahunas your quarterback have? and trust me, I had to use the right word, I said kahunas. But this guy here has ice water in his veins, because just like, Crowder alluded to, normally this ball comes to Zach. Yeah. And guess what? Zach is wide open.
Yeah.
And
great point.
Your quarterback say, screw that. I'm going with the tougher pass.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be interesting to talk to him about it, but I think he's looking at this body language here. And this is something that I wanted to ask you about too, Tana, because when I see a veteran at this spot, like I see like this essentially is going to play like Tampa 2 with this my linebacker playing in the middle of the field. So what Jayden's got to do is he's got to get over the top of this, right? To get to this grass on the back end here, like this area, this kind of grass over here, right?
Yeah.
See all that area?
Yeah.
Because these guys are they're matching this. They're going 3 over 2. They're kind of locked over here in zone coverage. And so when a veteran guy's in there and they know it, like it helps the play.
Yeah.
Because he's got the ability to get over there.
And that just shows you Crowder been around the block a couple of times.
Yeah.
He's been here before. This wasn't one of those moments that was too big for him. And he just knew all I gotta do is get right here behind this linebacker and ball should be in my hand.
Yeah.
And you know where that comes from too? Repping it before.
Yeah.
They repped it in practice on that Friday. He got that pass on Friday, and then guess what? We in the situation again in a critical time, in a critical moment in the game.
Well, I couldn't say it better myself. And the other thing we got to just point out real quick, offensive line, great job. Critical moment.
Yeah.
Again, can't take a sack here. These guys stood up in the biggest way versus a great pass rush. Takes all 11 to get this done. And Tana, it's a great feeling to see the crowd, man, get juiced up like this, get that dub in the stadium, right?
I said it takes everybody. The crowd too.
It does take everybody.
It's time for your winning numbers presented by the Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. Now we had some records being set. First up, our fearless leader, head coach Dan Quinn, is the only coach in franchise history with 10 wins in his first season. Shout out to coach. And then of course, 1-7, Terry McLaurin with his 5th consecutive 1,000-yard season. That ties a single season touchdown record for Washington. Logan Paulson and myself caught up with coach on the game plan and asked him what these records mean to him.
First, congratulations, coach. Then Terry gave you the game ball. How big is that milestone for you, and how big was it to share that moment with your team in the locker room? You were fired up.
I was totally surprised. I honestly was. And Coach Gibbs, the one, man. He's the one that sets the standard around here. And that's the one to me. And those are the postseason wins. That's where it's all about. And but I was certainly pumped that Terry recognized that. And we got a lot more to go. We got a lot more under the hood. So, as we're still going, we're back at it again. But I was super pumped that Terry did that.
Yeah, I bet you're pumped. And I think it's kind of cool because like all of the people that you've brought in to help you, it's kind of, I think, a reward for them too. And can you talk about some of those people that kind of, Adam, all these people that kind of gave you this opportunity and made this happen?
And that's what we literally in the team meeting to say, like, the wins are produced by everybody. Yeah. And it's the same thing coming back, like when we're never out of the fight, they also get to carry that weight. And I love that everybody's in it together. They have roles that everybody has to absolutely nail it to do that. And so it's the best being a part of a team and knowing you can count on me, I'll do the same. And for guys like that, Adam has your back, Josh, people, like that's an excellent feeling as the head coach, knowing that there's support coming for me from every single direction, and I feel it every day.
You can catch our entire interview with Coach on this week's episode of The Game Plan, dropping this Saturday at midnight on YouTube or Sunday mornings on WUSA 9. It's part of our 7 days of shows we're delivering for you each and every week. Check them all out.
And speaking of all of our amazing shows, welcoming in Sean Spring from the Players Club.
All right, man. Happy to be on the set, baby.
Since we got two of the best burgundy and gold defensive backs, let's talk about this defense as we prepare for the Atlanta Falcons offense. Now, our secondary boys, under 130 passing yards against a very high-powered offense in the Eagles. How can we replicate that against a young quarterback who's only getting his second start in Michael Penix?
Well, I think it's one of those situations where you got to understand you do have a young quarterback under center. He hasn't seen every coverage. He hasn't seen every blitz. You want to put him under distress early and often. You want to make sure that they play behind the sticks. Don't let them get to running the ball with Bijan Robinson on first and second down. Force them to make him win the game. And when you're talking about weapons, he's loaded with weapons. You're talking about Drake London on the outside, Kyle Pitts at tight end, Bijan Robinson, and a loaded offensive line front. This will not be an easy victory. This offense right here is built to score points, and they built to play.
And when you're dealing with a young quarterback, you got to get him off his first look. So the first read, you got to make him go to the second and third. And oftentimes, once they get to the first and it's not there, they're going to take off running or they kind of get the happy feet. So that's one of the things. But another thing that's a benefit for us, we got Lattimore. He was in that conference, right? So he's very familiar with the Drake London and all the weapons that Atlanta have. So he's going to help the guys, especially Mike, the young boys in the back end, say, listen, they're talented. Don't think they're not going to come in here and plan for a playoff spot. Don't think they're not here to win. So having that experience back there secondary helps.
And Fred, you mentioned Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
They leaned heavily on the rushing attack in their last game where they got a win. Over 90 yards rushing. 2 touchdowns for Bijan. How can we take him on a good defense, too? On a very good defense. How can we take him out the game and slow that rushing attack down?
You got to put the strong safety in the box. You got to tell your corners, Marshawn, Sandwich Steele, you got to man up. This is one of these man-to-man games. And understand that everything changes when you bring in this Atlanta offense because Michael Penix happened to be left-handed. Yeah. So the strong side of the defense switches to the other side, the opposite side. So you have to understand that also as a defense and understand this too. This guy ran a 4.5 40 coming out of college. He can actually run. So he can make some plays with his feet, and that's what young quarterbacks do. First read, second read, run. And that's what he's going to do when the play breaks down, Blue.
And when you think about Bijan Robinson, thinking about coming out of college, I think that he had an unbelievable stat, like nobody touched him. The first or second man didn't even hit the guy. Yeah. So that means there's going to be a lot of people that has to get to the ball. Yeah. When you're playing a guy who's dynamic, and then you got a lot of people got to get to the ball. And the good thing about it is we have a secondary and defense where we have guys that are fast. We got some speed on our defense.
On every level.
At every level, so we can contain the run.
And Sean, back in your day, you was a bigger defensive back, so you got after the quarterback a little bit. Probably had a few sacks in your day, right?
I led the team in sacking picks. I led this season. I led the team in sacking picks. Thanks for setting me up, B-Rob. Since you mentioned that, I throw that out there.
Commanders had 4 sacks against the Philadelphia Eagles before Kirk Cousins was benched. Sacked 28 times this season in 14 games. How can we get after Michael Penix and get him to get his jersey dirty?
Well, I think, the good thing about our team is not just one guy. It's multiple guys. It's a defense. Here's the thing. We call coverage and front goes together. So sometimes we might show a certain coverage and then we shift, and that affects the way the quarterback got to hold the ball. Yeah. But then when you think about the second level guys for us, Frankie Louvu first come to mind.
Wagner,
we know about and Wagner. Those guys have been excellent in adding that 5- and 6-man pressure. So those guys can get to the quarterback as well.
Louvu, when Louvu is going downhill, good things happen. Like when Louvu he's what I call organized chaos. And that's what we want and that's what we need. He is a key to me to unlocking Kevin Farrell, Deron Payne, and the rest of those guys, because where is number 4 is what I think they're going to be saying on the Atlanta sideline.
Big game for Louvu this past Sunday. A nice interception looking like a young Fred Smoot. Now we talked about this defense. Let's look a little bit at the Atlanta Falcons.
If you check out our shows, you'll hear a lot of talk about this Sunday's matchup with the Atlanta Falcons at home in prime time. Now, this game was flexed to Sunday Night Football, and what a good decision that was, because the winner of this game will be putting themselves in the driver's seat for a spot in the playoffs. The Falcons are coming to Washington after beating up on the New York Giants last weekend, where we saw the debut of new rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr., who is replacing somebody fans here in Washington are very familiar with, Kirk Cousins. Now, let's take a look at the numbers between these two teams. You see the Falcons are still putting up big passing yards, but it's really their rushing attack that we need to worry about this Sunday. And you see points allowed almost identical. Should be a fun and exciting game this Sunday.
You go back and watch preseason, you go back and watch the last game, and you see the arm talent, the ability to deliver and play passes. And so they have receivers that can really stretch the field, and a tight end as well. Yeah. Much like Logan's speed, he can really get up and go.
For my speed.
But the deep ball, is one of the things, that we really, have come to know and see what he's about from his college time to there. He is one tough competitor too. So going into it, we've got to do a great job, making sure our disguises are right, and being on top, because he certainly has the arm talent to get it down the field.
Time for Securing the W, presented by Hercules Fence. Security in every job. Now, fellas, we talked defense earlier with Fred Smoot and Sean Springs, our defensive guys, but how can our offense secure the win against the Atlanta Falcons? Tan, I'm going to start with you.
I think nothing's self-inflicting. I think that's what you saw, last week. These guys kind of like stumped their toe every time they got a chance, but still found a way. So I just want to see those guys don't put themselves such behind the 8 ball and go out there and play their game. I also want to see our run game get a little better. I feel like running game, this time of the year, you want to have a strong run game. And although we have a dynamic quarterback who can go out there and get some of them yardage, for us when we're not doing so well, you want to see a guy like B-Rob get after those guys.
Well, everything starts with me with the wild boys, the big boys up front. That's where it starts with Southeast Sam Cosme and the rest of these guys going out there, keeping the quarterback clean, getting ahead of the chains in the run game, understanding the logistics of this Falcons defense because they do have some players on this defense. Yeah. And I think if you keep Jedi 5 clean, I think you got a chance to make some plays, especially going down the field. I think that's what's starting to open up in the second half of the year. That wasn't there in the beginning of the year. We was kind of like very careful in the way we make these plays. Now we're starting to push the ball down the field. Everything starts with the big bad uglies that smell like bacon up front. I'm going with the wild boys, keeping everybody clean.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I think one of the things about this Atlanta defense that makes them kind of unique is that they do play a lot of varied fronts with varied first personnel. So like their defensive line, they can play defensive tackle, defensive end. And so when you're targeting runs, it becomes really important to say, hey, these are our base personnel. This is where we're going. Because I think physically you can win those matchups. It's just about understanding the spacing, how best to maximize that. So I think that's going to be a huge part of this game. And also keeping the football away from Jesse Bates. That is going to be extremely important because he's a guy that really impacts the game from a turnover standpoint at a very high level. And Tana talked about this already. Like, you have to protect the ball, and he's a guy that manufactures turnover at maybe the highest rate in the NFL.
And the funny part about it, the defensive back coach over there, Jerry Gray, is the same coach that coached me and Sean Springs. So I know what type of terminology he uses. I know his philosophies, and he's a get the ball back type of guy. So we're going to have to really, really focus in on that. Like you're saying, keeping the ball clean and not turning the ball over.
Jerry might make him read wrong, too.
The Oracle?
He done told you, watch the comeback, and they ran big on you.
That's the one thing about Jerry. He's very forceful. And he used to be over there talking to me and Sean. He'd be like, the play going on. He'd be like, Fred, they finna run a comeback, and I believe him. And guess what? I go jump the comeback, and they'll run a go. And I look at Jerry. He like, boy, play with you study.
And Fred, you mentioned Jedi 5 or Jedi 5, as you so eloquently put it. 5 touchdowns for Jayden Daniels. And fellas, we keep talking about his progression. How does he build off of one of his best passing games of the season against the Falcons?
Because he likes to play clean, and he turned the ball over twice. So he going in there saying, you know what, I can't do this. He one of these guys, you can tell when quarterbacks try not to turn the ball over, he's one of those try not to turn the ball over type guys. So he don't like those late interceptions. He don't like interceptions at all. But come on, man, the play he made on 4th and 11 with his feet, you can't buy that. That's what you get when you get a Jayden Daniels on your team. So at what point do you, as a coach, say, I don't want to stop him from being him, but I also want him to keep it clean? And I think that's where that thin line is.
I think, like, to that point, too, it's like you got to hit the layups, right? I think that one to Luke McCaffrey, that's the right read, that's the right process. I think just the ball gets away from him, right? The other interception, right, they run a little choice to the offensive left. Just hit the choice, man. We talked about it in New Orleans. He's taking sacks. He's not hitting the underneath guy. Yeah. And, again, those are very small corrections because you look at the totality of what he's done the last 2 weeks, you're like, man, he's playing some of the best football we've ever seen, right? It's been fantastic. But I think, can we get to hit the layups and eliminate those mistakes even further? I think it's on the table for him because every single week this guy just seems to get better, and I can't wait to see what he does versus the Falcons.
And Logan, we talk so much about the adjustments this team makes, especially you because you've really been in that film room. So we look at those adjustments. 8 sacks against the Saints. Only 1 this past Sunday. How can we continue to keep Jayden Daniels clean and make those adjustments?
I mean, quite frankly, that's an element where Jayden Daniels has improved. Like, there were free runners in this game. There was pressure. And, again, talk about a guy who took coaching from the last week and applied it this week. Sacks are a quarterback-driven statistic, right?
Yeah,
Pressure is not. Sacks are quarterback-driven. So he's getting the ball out. He's trusting his guys. He understands the clock in his head. I also think the offensive line deserves a ton of credit, man. They pass protected at an extremely high level, and they gave him opportunities to make plays on the field. So I think it's an improvement on the offensive line. It's a conscious decision by Jayden Daniels. All those things compiled. And, again, that's why this offense and that's why this player is so fun because of his ability to continuously improve.
And Tana, I think if you told me that we'd have under 30 yards from B-Rob and 2 fumbles and that we still beat Philly, I think we'd all be like, there's no way. But one thing we know, talk about adjustments. B-Rob's going to come out hungry. What do you expect to see from him against the Atlanta Falcons? Because we know he's going to get the ball.
Just that, hungry. Yeah. I think, when we were sitting there in that hallway, dapping everybody up, that's what we do. Our game day crew be sitting there waiting just to, get those guys a little encouragement or root them on when they have a big win. B-Rob, the handshake I got from him, it just felt like, man, I see you, OG. but I'm pissed off.
Yeah,
so, you know,
cringy. It was cringy.
You're going to get a guy that's going to get in that book. You're going to get on that film and see what he did wrong. And I'm pretty sure he's chopping at the bit, because I've been in them situations where I drop passes, and I want to get right back out there and get to practicing. I want to make sure I make up for it. So I can tell you, he tells you every time he wants the ball, he's hungry. He's going to be even hungrier this week.
And he has great games against Atlanta. It's something like all of us have these teams.
Southern boy, like you, right?
All of us have a team that we just our eyes blow up when we see this team. I think Atlanta has been that team for B-Rob.
And I think we're all chopping at the bit to see B-Rob get back and see our guys continue to improve, continue to stack up those wins. And you know what? Let's look at the game day details for this Sunday's matchup against the Falcons. Kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. That's primetime Sunday night football. You can catch that on NBC, or you want to listen to the radio with my guy Logan Paulson, London Fletcher, and Brand Weinstein. That's on Big 100. Then, of course, your favorite pregame show, Game Day Live, kicks off at 6:30 p.m. Surprise, surprise, Tanner. We're going to be on extra long in that cold. And then, of course, post-game live immediately after the game. Now, fellas, this is our New Year's Eve episode, and what a year we have had in Commander Land. So I'm gonna put y'all on the spot. I wanna know what y'all favorite memory or moment from this year was. And Logan, you're looking at me like you're ready to talk, so I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, my favorite Commanders moment is probably the AP hire, and then everything that comes off of that. You know, the Dan Quinn, going to the draft, watching all the guys they bring in, and just the process, right? And I guess, you know, Josh Harris is kind of the catalyst for that whole thing, but watching it just being done the right way. Yeah. And then covering all that stuff with you guys on the Command Center podcast, and we got an award on that show. So that all was very special for me this year. Again, good process, good people, good content, great time.
Way to be a company man right there. Show your leverage right there.
Freddie, you're not excited about it? Say to that camera, you're not excited about it. Say.
Way to be a superhero right there. Show your company man. I'm going to say my favorite is not a thing, it's a moment. It's the Hell Noah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the Hell Noah brought the fan base back together, gave the fan base hope. It was something that changed. It ended the Chicago Bears season. It was something monumental. I got calls from everywhere, all over the United States. Everybody saw that Hell Noah. That was the biggest moment for the year.
No one called you.
Yeah, everybody did. Everybody did.
You know you always lying. My biggest moment is almost every time we take a trip. Man, one of the things I love about being a part of the Game Day Live crew or the pre and post game show, when we get a chance to go on those trips, man, the fans follow. I mean, everywhere we've been, every city, every town, we invaded. I mean, those rallies, whether we have it or they have it, it turns up and turns out. So that's my moment. I think the fans should get a lot of credit for how they responded this year with this team and follow behind this team.
And you know what, Tanner, man, I think you took mine, man, because I feel the same way, man. Game days has just been so cool because no matter where we go, no matter what y'all have done on the field, the first thing people come and say to us is, we love the shows. We love the content. Thank you for what you guys are doing. And it's dope to be a small piece of the very special thing that's happening here in Commanderland, man. What a year it's been. And Commanders family, we know we have an even better year coming next year. For your Command Center crew, Logan Paulson, Fred Smoot, Santana Moss, Brian Colbert, and Sean Springs in the back. Happy New Year. We'll see y'all next year.